Am I the jerk for not accompanying my niece to kids' playgrounds? I am currently visiting my sister, who is 34 years old, alongside a few of my other siblings. We visit every few months and stay at her place for a week or two to catch up and spend some time with her daughter, who is 2 years old. They often go to places catering to kids, such as Chuck E. Cheese and playgrounds, for my niece to play in. I have only gone on a few of these trips to know they're not for me. I don't like to be in places with lots of screaming kids running around, so when they go, I tend to stay home. If they go to any other place with my niece, I am completely fine accompanying them. My sister is very visibly upset that I'm not sacrificing and willing to go to these places for my niece, since my niece asks if I'm going with them every time, and she thinks I'm disregarding her feelings. She always unpromptedly, in the middle of random conversations, says that I'm hurting her by not going. At first, I gave in to the pressure and went, but took my laptop and noise-canceling headphones and sat working in the parents' waiting area after playing with my niece for a few minutes. I later learned that this also upset her because I wasn't there fully, even though I played and talked to my niece all the way there and back, before and after she was done playing. She is the type of person to not communicate directly. She either makes snarky remarks or talks about me behind my back to people I trust who tell me what she said. She previously punished me by not sending me photos and videos of my niece anymore because my replies to her videos weren't as expressive, or were a few days late because I get busy and can't respond to every detail in over 25 videos, each a minute and a half long. Today I said no, and my other sibling, who is 31 years old, has told me that I need to go with them this time because she's leaving and going home in 2 days and wants me to spend time with her. I said I couldn't handle being in kids' places because they're too noisy and chaotic for me. She said I could go work in a nearby cafe, but I'd rather save myself the money and stay home working because I would be completely by myself at the cafe until they were done, and we'd head home immediately. I don't tell them to change destinations. Whenever they say we're heading to a playground for kids, I simply say I'm not going. But now they're all upset with me, especially my niece's mom. Am I the asshole? Your life, your rules. The lack of respect, emotional manipulation, and personal attacks create a hostile environment. People are not entitled to your presence, and it's important to focus on taking care of yourself. Do what works for you, you owe them nothing. Am I the jerk for exposing someone's relationship online? I would like to stay anonymous as much as possible, but long story short, I know a woman who is a single mother of 5. Her first 3 children, all girls, are from her first marriage and have a 20-year age gap with the younger 2, a boy and girl, who both have different fathers who are not in the picture. Before the younger 2 children were born, the mother dated a man a little older than her, somewhere between 3 and 10 years, although I am not sure. She would bring her girls on playdates to her boyfriend's house to play with his sons. Let's call him Joe. All the children were around the same age and got along just fine. The mother and Joe broke up with no hard feelings. At one point, Joe slept with the oldest daughter. Then everyone parted ways. A couple of years later, the mother had her son and then got pregnant again with her last child. This last baby's father then moved in with her and her children, who were 19, 17, and 1 year old. This man claimed the home as his own and did nothing to support the household. Jobless, the man just came and went as he pleased. This pushed the 17-year-old, who we will call Boo, to her breaking point as she worked hard to help with bills. One day, Boo ran into her mother's old boyfriend, Joe, the same one she grew up around and the same one who has children the same age as her. Joe invited her to move in with them to help her get away from the drama at home, and she accepted. At the age of 17, she moved in with Joe and his 3 children while he had a girlfriend. For a while, things were good. Boo got a job and was able to have fewer financial responsibilities. Then she stopped reaching out as much, started acting secretive, and all around stopped talking to her family the same. We came to find out Joe had broken up with his girlfriend, and we were pretty positive he started pursuing or dating Boo the second she turned 18 while she was living with him. This led to them actively dating and then secretly getting married 2 years ago when Boo was 19 and Joe was around 55, 60 years old. On Facebook, they both kept their profiles listed as single until Boo got pregnant 9 months ago. Now their profiles both say married but do not specify to whom. Now Boo is 21 and still married to Joe. She just gave birth this month to her first child, a son, while she actively raises Joe's other 3 children, all of whom are in high school. They keep their relationship off social media and never wear wedding rings. But now that you know the important stuff, am I the asshole for making an Instagram revealing that my friend's 21-year-old daughter has married someone who dated her mother, slept with her older sister, and most importantly, watched her grow up? What purpose would be served by sharing the relationship status of 2 consenting adults? It wasn't your place to expose anything, and you had no right to do any of this. Her relationship was hers, not yours to expose. I hope someone does something equally terrible to you. Am I the jerk for not inviting my sibling when I went away last year? Last year I, a 29-year-old female, was fired from a job after making a mistake with the rota die. Extremely upset and wanting to be left alone, I decided to get away from my family. My mother kept reminding me of how badly I messed up, which was true, but she failed to acknowledge that my boss had never contacted me directly to inform me that I was fired. Instead, I found out over text when I reached out to him. Her comments sounded like she was defending him, and I just wanted to escape and be left alone. I made a mistake when asking for time off and miscalculated the dates. My mother spoke as if I did it intentionally. I know she was concerned, but her behavior seemed driven by a desire to always be right. She kept suggesting things about getting another job, which turned out to be wrong. I flew to London to attend an interview for a seasonal job I had arranged earlier that year. I went away both for the interview and to get a break. When I got back, my 26-year-old younger brother kept criticizing me. I knew he was echoing what my mother must have been saying about me. He claimed the seasonal job was to compensate for the one I had lost, which was never the intention. I was looking for a new job immediately after finding out I was fired. My head was a mess for a few weeks after being fired until things got back on track when I got another, better job. He also criticized me for not inviting him when I went to London, and he still brings it up occasionally. He was just upset he didn't get to go. I argue back, explaining that I was going through one of the worst periods in my life and needed to be left alone. We're in Ireland, and London is not far away. If he wants to go, he can do so on his own time. I had a lot on my mind and couldn't concern myself with asking him to come along. Am I the asshole? I can appreciate that it might be upsetting not to be invited, and perhaps I was selfish. I'm genuinely starting to believe I messed up and was incredibly selfish. Nothing you have done here makes me think you are the jerk. Your mother and brother are causing you to question yourself, but it's important to take care of your own needs. Your brother being upset over not being invited to a trip that was meant for self-reflection and job interviews, rather than a vacation, is not reasonable. If he wants a trip to London, he can plan and pay for it just like you did. Am I the jerk for not apologizing? Some friends and I, all male and 20 years old, have a WhatsApp group chat where we organize ourselves to go to concerts and music festivals, something we like to do often. We recently added a new person, a friend who is 19 years old. We met at one of these concerts. I'll call him Jack. Jack and one of my longtime friends, who is also 20 years old, I'll call him Brian, were chatting in the group about going to an event next month. The ticket price hadn't been announced yet. Jack warned that if the price was too high, he wouldn't go. Brian said he would go regardless of the price and was willing to pay up to $300 for the ticket. On the day the tickets were released, Jack sent a photo of the ticket purchase screen in the group, telling Brian that they had been released and that the price was too high, around $250. After 5 minutes, Brian sent a screenshot saying he had bought the ticket and asked if Jack had bought it too. Jack said he hadn't and reminded everyone that he had said if it was too expensive, he wouldn't go. Brian said it was fine in the group chat but privately texted me and told me to kick Jack from the group because he had left him hanging and made him waste money. I defended Jack by saying that he had already said he wouldn't go if it was too expensive. I laughed it off by sending Brian a screenshot of his own message saying that he'd pay up to $300 and now wanted to kick Jack from the group for it. Brian said he didn't find the situation funny. He accused me of defending a new person instead of taking his side, someone I've known for a long time. He has left the group chat and no longer wants to talk to me. I thought about apologizing, but after thinking about it, I don't think I have any reason to apologize. I think Brian screwed up by buying the ticket without checking with anyone first, and he's angry with everyone else because of his own actions. He thinks that because I laughed at the situation, I was laughing at him for losing money, but I just found the irony funny. He says Jack induced him to buy by sending him the ticket purchase screen, but I believe Jack only sent that screen to show him the price. I think that if I apologize, Brian will think he's right to be angry and won't learn anything, continuing to behave in a childish way. However, I don't want to lose a friend I really like. Am I the asshole? Nothing you have done here makes me think you are the jerk here. If Brian was aware that Jack would only go if the price was right, it's on Brian for buying a ticket without confirming. Trying to kick Jack out of the group over this is a petty move, especially since Jack didn't do anything wrong. It's understandable to be upset about the money, but Brian needs to cool off and realize that he's the one who made a hasty decision. If he can't come around to see that, maybe he wasn't that great of a friend in the first place. Am I the jerk for being ungrateful for my $1 million education? I am a pretty mediocre person. I am 26 years old and have an office job that I am just okay at. I am slowly trying to save for a home. Compared to my parents and siblings, I am a big disappointment. My parents are first-generation immigrants and successful professionals who have done well in their fields. My 3 siblings all have very impressive careers. My parents invested heavily in our education. I wish they had not done that for me, as ungrateful as it sounds. I went to expensive private schools in New York City from preschool through high school, and it was not good for me. I could never excel among my peers. Most kids around me were either extremely smart or extremely wealthy, and I did not fit into either group. My family always said to just compete with everyone through hard work, but I had peers who regularly did 16-hour days and worked or studied through the weekends. I tried to keep up, but I could not, and sometimes I would get burned out and depressed. I had a few good friends but always felt insecure. I was just kind of shy, unremarkable, and boring, and therefore often excluded from socializing with the more competitive or glamorous kids. I did not leave with some kind of spectacular network. With all the help I had, I was able to go to a good college and eventually secure a prestigious first job. However, my work lagged behind my peers and my company let me know there was no future for me there. So finally I accepted it and got a normal job at a large company. I have accepted that I am not on a path to a super high-paying job, so I have decided to leave New York City for a more affordable city. When I told my parents, it caused a huge fight. They yelled at me for not prioritizing living near family, giving up on my dreams, and wasting all the opportunities they tried to give me. It really struck a nerve because I have felt sick about that for years. I was given opportunities most people will never have, and that less privileged people can only dream of. It was totally wasted on me. It just made me feel like a disappointment. But for once I snapped and yelled at them back. I said I never asked them to do that and I wish they had not wasted their money. I said my dream was to someday have my own home, yard, family, dog, and some free time. I told them they could have just sent me to public school and bought me a house if they really wanted my dreams to come true, because all my education did for me was show me how unspecial I am and make me exhausted and depressed. Now my parents and siblings have all called me ungrateful and are not speaking to me. After 16 years of private school and 4 years of university, my parents spent literally over $1 million on my education. I know I am not entitled to a single dollar of their money, but I hate that they wasted it. It will take a very long time for me to afford a home, and I will never live a life as nice as the one I grew up with, so I cannot help wishing things had been different. You are not the jerk. Your parents put unfair pressure on you, and now you feel disappointed that you didn't live up to their expectations. Their expectations were ridiculous. They didn't consider who you are at all. There is nothing wrong with living an ordinary life. It's where most of us end up, and that's perfectly fine. Your life only needs to be special to you, so get some distance and take time to just be yourself. Am I the jerk for not letting my sibling come live with me? To provide some background, I, a 27-year-old female, came to Canada years ago as an international student, but am now a citizen here. I have been living with my husband at my mother-in-law's house for the past 8 years, along with his youngest brother, and we have one young child. We are moving to our new house soon, which was a pre-construction project and was delayed for almost 3 years. I have been waiting to move out due to many different reasons such as lifestyle, privacy, and so on. I was very excited to have our own place. My 19-year-old sister came to Canada, mainly because I am here, to go to college. She has been living with us for a year now. My parents pay for her tuition, which is very expensive for an international student, and they will probably not have much money left to pay for her rent. She does not really work either, so she has no income. Initially, the plan was to have her live with me when I moved to our new place, but after living with her for a year, I do not think I can live with her any longer. We have been apart from each other for many years, and I just do not like her view of life and how she behaves sometimes. I understand it might be due to her being young. She acts like a princess and only cares about doing things she likes or that benefit her. She also does not help out with chores much, which leaves me to do lots of housework. I feel like if we live together, I will resent her. I have talked to her about helping out, but she asked my husband, who works 7 days a week, to help her with chores when I am not at home. I also help to pay her phone bill and for food. She uses my makeup, skincare, and personal stuff and does not have to pay for it. As an older sister and being Asian, I cannot bring myself to ask her to contribute, but I find myself feeling like I am taking care of another child. Another reason is that we only have 2 bedrooms at our new place, so she will have to share a room with my child. I am planning on having another child soon, and this may stop me from having enough room for everyone. I told my mother that my sister can either stay with my mother-in-law or go out and rent, and I can help with half of the rent. My mother then asked me if I could let my sister stay with me for 2 more years until she graduates, and I can put my future baby in my room for the time being. I feel like a bad person for not wanting her to come, but after so many years of sharing a house with others, I just want to be able to enjoy my house with just my husband and child, especially if we do not get along and we may get into fights. At the same time, I feel responsible for taking care of my sister. You behaved properly. Tough love is needed here. Your sister can work and contribute instead of relying on you. Set hard boundaries. She should get a job, pay some rent, and do chores. You shouldn't have to put your life on hold because of her choices. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.